New 2025 Elite ARTUS flagship aluminum bow. That looks like a new cam, folks. Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here at PodiumArcher.com. Looking at the Elite ARTUS for 2025. This is a 30 and a 16th inch axle to axle bow for you tree stand fellows out there that love a 30-inch bow. New cam system. This is smoother, better wall, and faster, supposedly, I am told. We're seeing this a lot this year. I don't know if whoever invented this little Yoki system's patent expired or whatnot, but this was on the Dartons, this is on this is on the PSEs, which been on PSEs before, and the new Hoyt target cam systems, haven't seen the hunting bows yet, also have this on it. So I find it really interesting that all of a sudden, the little split yoke traveling on either side, which does make more sense. And I want to say I thought it was PSE who did that first, but I'm sure, no, I think Alpine did that first, way back when. History buffs back there, comment down below on that. But you're seeing this a lot because this is more stable. Lateral transfer from left to right on your cam doesn't make it lean as much when you have an equal amount of weight on the cable on either side. It's a smart system, and I'm pretty sure just about everybody's going to use it. But yeah, now I really want to know. I hope somebody can tell me in the date on who made this first. I think it's Alpine. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, before we get too deep into this, hey, support your local pro shop. You're going to have to go there to shoot one of these anyway if you're into it, but they need you and you need them. You are going to need their support at some point. You're probably going to have a warranty issue at some point that's going to go through your pro shop. If they're worth a damn at all, please give them your money. Don't give it to me or Lancaster or Amazon or anybody else. However, if you're going to buy it online, please give me a shot over at PodiumArcher.com, where $99 and up is free shipping, and use coupon code MFJJ to save you a little money. Now that's out of the way, what other changes do we have for this bow? Well, integration mounts. So now they do have a bipod coming, and it was hopefully going to be here with this stuff, but they didn't quite make it in time. So this has a new limb pocket on it that adapts those parts, and I'm sure they're going to make some other stuff there. Front mount pick integration. We already have rear mount, and we have, you can kind of see it underneath there, ham ski holes and QAD holes. So any rear mount rest will fit on this bow. They still have their slightly adjustable roller guard. Okay, they still have the adjustable roller guard, which does help you with wheel lean a little bit. They still are running a shim system, so you can manipulate these as you want to be particular about it. They still have their, I'm sorry, the set technology where you can adjust the limb pocket, pitch it left to right to help with your wheel lean. This is really more of a fine-tuning feature, not a coarse feature, okay? So if you have some excessive wheel lean or really bad left to right paper tear, when your rest is in the appropriate position, you are going to want to move spacers first. Please don't just tweak this. This is for fine-tune, and they'll tell you that too if you call them and ask. So, I do like the cam system way better. I think that's a much better system. We'll see how that goes. Rear mount attachment for a V-bar if you want. Integrated V-bar attachments, integrated quiver attachments, and also coming, which they didn't have yet, so I can't show it to you, is a new one-piece slide attachment adjustable quiver that gets excessively low profile and tucks into the bow, specifically designed for Elite, so they're going to get some points for that. Let's see here. I think I covered this already, but 30 and a 16th axle to axle, 6 7/8 inch brace, 4.7 physical weight, and 25 to 30 and a half inch draw length adjustability, and 340 FPS possible. It says up to 340. That is for the performance module, which is what's on this bow. We're going to get a text here from my rep, Chris, anytime that says how much slower a smooth mod is, just so you have that for your statistical information to compare. Whew, $12.99.99. Now, let's measure some of this shit and see what it is. So, we need to pause for a second, and I need to emphasize to you guys that I edited this a little bit. I made an audible. As I was going through and scoring the first, I think it's been 5 bows so far, which I'll go back and revise the other ones. I'm not going to change the videos because they're already up, and that screws up the viewership. But when I make the final report card at the end of the season with all the bows in it, so you can compare them numbers-wise, which hopefully we're going to have up really soon, I'm editing the categories. So I had a features and an integration category. The features was worth 5, the integration was worth 10. I added features to integration because I felt like we were weighing too much on those things. They're still going to matter, but we weren't counting for weight at all. And weight to me on engineering, design, etc. on a bow is a really hard thing to achieve. To make your bow still long, stable, quiet, vibration free, all those things, and make it light is really hard. So I wanted to add a category of weight and gave it a 10 points. And I also took 5 points from design and forgiveness because I was kind of lumping weight into here and I didn't think that was right. So I changed this from 15 to 10. We'll still have a total of 100, but this category, and this category are going to be weighted a little different. I'm sorry if people are going to be offended, hurt, pissed off, hate me, whatever. Don't really care. But for those things, I felt this was more fair and more valid, and when we get this completely tweaked out, I'm going to have a numerical ranking for everything so people can stop saying this is just opinionated. So weight is going to be determined by quarter-pound increments of shift. Like if you're 5.5 pounds, it's worth 1, 5.25 worth 2, 5 worth 3, 4.75 worth 4, etc. You have to break the next category to get the point. All the way up to, I have 3.5 pounds at a 9. I've never seen a bow less than 3.5 pounds that I can remember that's actually a bow. Not like a wrist rocket kind of pocket rocket thing. But if you got to 3.25, you'd get a 10. So that'll have a numeric to it that isn't arguable. It's like, it weighs this, that's the number it gets. And hopefully by the end of this year, I'll be able to take the tunability category and give it a breakdown in numbers based off of each type of thing. Sometimes there's going to have to be some adjustment in there because they're going to come up with different stuff. But the idea of this is to give it really numeric numbers across the board, period, so you can't call it like opinion, or at least very little opinion. Like, I guess value, I'm going to have to kind of give a little bit of opinion. Appeal and quality, I'm going to have to give a little bit of opinion. Design and forgiveness, I'm hoping to get that to a numeric to actually say, here, if your riser's this long, you're getting this many points. If your brace height is this long, you're getting this many points. But I have to get through a year of these to be able to compare them to each other. So hopefully you can understand that, since this is a new method for me. And next year, as long as I maintain the same thing, you should get really accurate numbers from start to finish. Some of the first stuff's going to get a little fucky. Sorry. All right, so let's measure how long our riser is, because that's our axle to axle first. I did have somebody also comment and saying I'm measuring axle to axle wrong. I'm supposed to go center of axle to center of axle. Here's your comment back. Left side of the axle to the left side of the axle is the same measurement as center of axle to center of axle. It's just easier to see the line. Or right side of axle to right side of axle. So it is the same measurement. So shut up. All right. So we're going to go to the left side of the axle to the left side of the axle. And that measures, this is saying like 30 and an eighth. Yep. Let me make sure I'm getting real fair here. 30, yep, 30 and an eighth. So super close, you're only off by a 16th. 30 and 1/8. Overall riser length. Riser length, what I call it, is where the limb pocket and the limb meet on either side. So it does include the limb pocket orientation, just so you know, in case somebody's telling me I'm doing that wrong. So that's 28 and a quarter. Pretty good riser length for a 30-inch bow. We'll get the load out point in a minute. That is not long enough to use the brace height, so we're going to go this way. Now, I did have another guy argue that it's supposed to be to the back of the string, not this side of the string, not this side of the string. Well, I understand that that's also the way I thought it was supposed to be measured, but when I see every single one that's coming in at a brace height to this side of the string, gonna kind of call it that, bud. It's all right. Now, that being said, 6 and 7/8 on this one is to the front of the string, it looks like, which, to my knowledge, is how it's supposed to be measured. So, that one's spot on. We're just gonna give it a star. Yay. All right, go back to flat and we'll measure the reflex here. Ow. Thank you, child. Now it says brace height is 6 and 7/8. Oh, sorry, not brace height, reflex geometry, sorry. Okay, so we're gonna lay this over here, lay that over there. I'm going to modify this a little bit, and this is from Instagram. Texas Archery Shop sent me this. Good dude. Let's see here. I think I'm going to put a 90 off of this square bracket so you can just slide it into the back and find it pretty evenly. A little bit of modification. But for right now, this is where the tool we have, so that's what we're doing. So this looks to me like 2 1/4 inches of reflex. And I have to say, I'm disappointed. For that much brace height, you shouldn't need that much reflex to produce that. So, all right, now I'll measure the actual draw length, the loadout point, and get some speeds, huh? Okay, I forgot, physical weights first. Mind you, we do have their little stabilizer thingy on here. I gotta make sure this isn't touching anything. What am I feel like I'm touching. Dancing between 4.9 and 5, and the physical weight is 4.7. Between that and that, yeah, that's right on 4.7. So, good honesty. That's why I give a lot of credit to honesty. Nobody likes a liar. Okay. This is now measuring in setting number 2, 30 1/4. Yeah, 30 1/4. So we're a little long, but not too bad. There you go, 70 pounds. All right, so now's the moment where, oh wait, I can talk normal right now. Actually here, 20 at that. All right, so this is me talking normal, and it's peaking out really similar to what the bow would peak out at, so I can't run the risk of talking, and I might set this thing off higher than the bow, and I don't want to give the bow a bad rating. So for the next 3 arrows, we will be measuring sound and speed with a 350 grain arrow, 70 pounds, 30 inches, and I'm going to say very little, and I'm going to whisper like we're hunting. All right, 350 grains, 70 pounds, 30 inches. Here we go. .328, 327, or 326.9, so that's a 327 average. All right, here we go. .326, 327. .329, 327. So that's a 327 average. All right, now we no longer need to be quiet. We've shot our 350 grain arrows. We're now going to shoot 450s and then 650s, and then we'll reset this at 28 inches and shoot it with 450s so we can do some math. All right. Cycle's pretty good. It does load a little bit in the front, but it's pretty smooth throughout. I like it. I mean, it ain't bad. 290, 289.7, so that's 290 average. Same 290, 289, so 290 average. There's a tiny little bit of vibration in here, very little. Definitely not any real forward motion in the shot. I'm going to grip this one, try to get a good feel for it. Let's see if I can pick up a little more vibration. I do feel a little bit of buzz, just a little bit, not a lot. Yeah, it dissipates really fast, 287. So 289 average. I'll write that down. All right, 650s, here we go. .243, 246. We'll give you a 245 on that. 239, 245, so 245, 240, 243, 240, 244. Give it 244. $247, $245. So we'll give you a 246 average there. Now we'll reset this at 28 inches and shoot 450s again. Okay, we're now reset at 28 inches with 450 grain arrows, so we can do some math and tell you what this bow would be at just about any draw length, or give you the equation to do it. 272, 273.5, so we'll give that a 273. $275, 272, we'll give you 273. Maintain a 273 average. One more. $273 average. All right, let's do some math. Okay, we got 273 feet a second on 28 inches, 70 pounds, 450 grain arrow. So the math on that is 8 feet per second per inch. So if you add or subtract 8 feet from any inch, which this is going to be a little bigger, this is probably more like 10, this is probably more like 6, somewhere around there, or even less, you'll see the functional difference to measure out and do the math and figure out what your bow would potentially shoot, or what this bow would potentially shoot with a 450 grain arrow at 26 inches as opposed to 28 inches, or vice versa. So you should be able to figure out the math from there, and if you can't, go back to school because that's pretty basic math. All right, we've got speed of 327, so 325 is at 10. And once again, we're hitting the category where I adjusted weight. This bow weighed 4.7 pounds. 4.5 is 5, 4.7 is 4. So because it hits the 4.75 to 5 threshold, you're only getting 4 because it's on the heavy side. If you had hit 4.5, you'd have gotten a 5, 4.25, you'd have gotten a 6, etc. Tunability, there's a lot here. There's not a timing adjustment, and you're starting to see that more frequently in more than one brand now. There is a set technology and spacers. So it's a decent amount of tunability, but it's not like, it's a little harder. You do have a roller guard adjustment. I'll give you a little more than 10. I'll give you 11 because you can technically adjust the wheel lean 3 different ways, but you can't adjust, no, I can't do that because you can't adjust timing either. I'll give you a 10. So, because I want to say darting, you can adjust the wheel lean by adjusting the limbs. You do have spacers if you need to adjust spacers, and you have a timing feature in there, so you can do all of those, and I still gave them like a 14. I didn't give them a 15, so nothing to do with timing, and that's going to start mattering because there's more than one bow that does that now, so that's going to get some weight from everybody. Integration and features. So there's a ton of integration and features on this bow. You can run a front mount sight, you can run a rear mount rest, you can run the Hamskea and the QAD, so boom, there. They have a V-bar bracket that is integrated to their bow separate from their quiver system, which is a low profile quiver system. The only thing it doesn't have that anybody else does, I mean, it's got pick mounts, like it just doesn't have like the bridge lock stabilizer like Matthews, I guess, if you want to give them that. So, but that is a ton of stuff packed into here. I'm giving you a 9 on that. That's a whole bunch of stuff. Honesty, well, let's see. You're a 16th long on your ATA, which is minimal. Your 6 7/8 on your bracing was spot on. Your weight was 4.7, spot on. Your draw length's a 1/4 inch long. And your speed is 13 feet per second off. Now, I was really excited that I wasn't going to see anybody break 10 this year. I really was, because PSE had broken it by a lot, and they're back down to a reasonable speed. And last year, Elite was down to a reasonable speed, like they're within 6. I've got 2 chronographs checking everything, so you can't like gripe, and I'm already through several different ones that I'm running into the same statistical differences, right? So this shouldn't happen. And because of that, I'm going to have to mark you down a lot, because you corrected it last year and then you went back to this fluffy crap. You shouldn't do that. Sorry, not. And you're off by a 1/4 inch on your draw length. And if you do the math, it should technically be 2 inches slower, because if I set that bow to where it measures 30, it's going to be 325, which would be 15 feet a second slow, right? So because of those things, you're getting like, let's see, brace was right, weight was right, speed was off. I'm going to figure out a nice numeric mathematical way to figure this out. But for now, I'm going to have to say your honesty factor is going to be like a 7. Feel, the bow feels great. I love the grip. I love the balance. I love there's a tiny little bit of vibration in it, just tiny, but it's also very heavy. And as you get to a heavy bow, it tends to not vibrate as much. So that's a byproduct of that. But I'm not measuring that here. I'm measuring that in feel. So I'm going to give you an 8 for feel, because I do really like the way these bows feel. They're very nice. Not perfect, obviously, and you got to leave some room to grow, but I'll give you a good mark there. Design and forgiveness. Got a lot of reflex on this. You got a decent length riser for your axle to axle length, but a lot of reflex. So there's a lot of cool integrated features. I like the machine work. It's still pretty heavy for a 30-inch bow to weigh that much. That's a lot. But in design and forgiveness, new cam features, I'm going to give you a, got to figure out a mathematical way to do this too, but I'm going to need a 5, because that's a crap ton of reflex. Like, you shouldn't have that much reflex on this thing. And your riser length is still 2 inches shorter than your overall length, and riser length drives stability. And with that much brace height, I'll give you a 6. I'll give you a 6. With that much brace height, and I'm giving it to you because you have a good amount of brace height, because that's going to be forgiving. You shouldn't have this much reflex with that much brace height, in my opinion. And over time, mind you, you can have an engineer come on and tell me whatever I'm doing wrong in that regard, but I know over my life of bows that have high reflexes and lower brace heights shoot way worse. They just do. And bows that have more reflex shoot worse than bows that have less reflex over time. So that's where that's coming from. I'll try to figure out some mathematical equation to give real numbers to that, as opposed to what I'm thinking when I look at it, just so there's less criticism, but for now, that's how you're getting it. Value. $12.99 retail. Flagship bow, that's really close to the flagship price. You are getting a ton of feature options in this bow, but it's really heavy. Like, it's hard to give. It's not like the bow's really light in that category, and it does cost more money to make a bow lighter. It functionally does. When you're going through and machining and cutting out the riser, the more machine time it has, the more expensive it is to make. So value, I'm going to cut you in the middle at 3. And it's largely because what it probably costs to make this bow versus what you're asking for it. I'm going to give you a 3. Sound, you are 78 decibel. And that's like, we've gotten 78, 78 and a half, 78, 77 and a half, I think. So you're right in the middle of what we're seeing from the flagship bows. So I'm giving you a 3. I will probably go back and revise everybody's sound at the end of everything. Now that we know how to use the tool correctly, which when we measured one of the, I think one of the Darton's ones we got wrong because we were hitting the wrong button and it gave us a really weird reading. So we'll go back and revise that at the end of this. So these numbers might spread a little bit more when we're done, because if like the loudest bow that was a flagship was 79 and the quietest one was 76, we got to figure out a distinguishing point between there that's worth more than just 3. So I'm putting you in the middle for now because I think that's going to end up being about where the middle of this whole thing is. Appeal and quality. They do have a lot of good machine work. The finish work on these is great. I love the grip feel, nice little inlays. I mean, they do good work. The bows look good. I'll give you a 4. I think on appeal and quality. I do think you're making a quality product and a really good aesthetic. So let's see what we end up with total here. 10, 20, 33, 40, 48, 49, 50, 54, 60, 64. I'll give you 64 here. So, and part of me feels like I'm being a little generous on that, but there's a lot going on here in integration and function. There's easy ways to make up some of this point if you just make this bow lighter and don't fluff your exaggerated speed here for what you're getting. You know, put out a speed that is, like that speed isn't a bad speed. You don't need to say this bow's 340 feet a second when it's not. It's not necessary. You don't need to do that. And that number, like if you look at this realistically, like let's say for funsies, you put in, let's say your bow shot 340, or it probably wouldn't hit it because they never do, but let's say it shot in the 335 category. Your speed would have been a 12 instead of 10. You'd have gained 2, but I guarantee you, in honesty, you'd have been like an 11 or 12. So it cost you points. And that's the whole point of this versus that versus that. That is the whole point, people. That's why it's in there. And this just proved exactly why I weight it the way I do, is so you get penalized for fluffing numbers. So comment down below on what you think of this video and other ones like it. Head on over to podiumarcher.com. Obviously, we can't sell you this. We can sell you the Target Edition bows that they make if you're interested in the Elite stuff, but you're going to need to go to your pro shop to look at this. Go give them a shot. Check them out. And I said pro shop, not chain store. Go to the pro shop. You are going to get better help 9 times out of 10. And guess what? It's usually the same price. So why would you pay more for less help? That just doesn't make sense. Support your pro shop. Thanks for watching.